My whole life, all I've heard is you can't do that. But still and yet I do that. I think the car got tweaked up whenever we were racing it. And as you can see, it hits this right here, right? This panel. Now all this is loose right now. See how that hits? It's kind of done it from day one, but it's gotten to the point now where it hangs, right? Look what it did. See that? Should we send it to a body shop? Nah, we're not gonna send it to a body shop. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fix this shit ourselves.
Drag, swag, oh you know the name. Hats, shirts, hoodies fueling the flame. For the F100s in the Coyote crew. Drag, swag's got the gear just for you. Stitch by stitch, just a passion we sow. Ride or die style, let your colors show. From the track to the streets, let them know.
Throughout this whole process of me showing you how to do this, I want you to remember, don't overthink it. It's okay. So we got an issue obviously with this ground effect piece. This has been on the car now for about 6 years and it needs to be fixed. This car was put together from spare parts and a couple of new parts here and there, but ultimately, look how easy that was. There's literally not much holding this damn thing. We're gonna take this and trim some of this back because it's always been too tight in this area. So we're gonna sand a little bit of this back right here and down here and then try to smooth it out so that it works. Before we get started on this, I wanna talk about some of the things that you're gonna need if you wanna tackle a project like this. And it is absolutely something you can do yourself. Now you're gonna need some tools, right? Just like you're gonna need wrenches and sockets and things like that to build your engine. Guys, start thinking about paint and bodywork the way that you think about turning wrenches on your car because it's equally as important. You wanna spend some major money? Take your car to go get it fully painted. Take your car because you got a dent in your fender and you need it resprayed. The money that you're gonna spend on that, you could have went out and bought your own air compressor and your own gun. First off, we gotta have some reducer. Reducer is something that you're gonna need in your paint, which there again, you gotta have a little bit of base coat. These two things kind of go together. You're gonna need a little bit of reducer to pour in here. I'm not even gonna give you 4 to 1, 2 to 1, none of that. We're just gonna put it in there till it feels right, okay? And then over here is gonna be clear coat. I recommend 2-stage always. Base coat, clear coat. This is cheap, $4.98 clear. And then there's your activator. Now I don't probably have enough of that, but we'll at least get the base coat sprayed. You're gonna need a sander. This is an expensive one, you don't need that. You can go to Harbor Freight and buy one for like 50 bucks. You need a little palm sander. You're gonna need that. This gun, I think is 100 bucks. Something like that. You can get an even cheaper one. You can buy the Harbor Freight gun. I don't care, guys. Get yourself a gun. This is the Kawami. I'll post it up for you guys, a little link on Amazon that you can pick it up where I got mine from. You go to Harbor Freight and you can buy these little disposable kits here. My air compressor is around back. It's late at night. It doesn't really matter to show you what I've got. Get yourself at least like a 25-gallon, bare minimum air compressor, and you can do fenders and pieces like this with no problem. You're always gonna need like some 80, 180, 220, 400. If you do that, if that's the only sandpaper that you go by or those grits, you should be able to do everything that you need to do to get your car sanded down, painted, and back on the road, especially when it comes to pieces and panels like this. Also, another thing I want to remind you guys of, if you're doing pieces like this, see, little ground effects pieces, they're at the bottom of your car. Nobody's going to notice it. Is your car a show car? Is it absolutely flawless? If it is, I don't know, maybe this isn't a right move for you. Maybe you need to send it somewhere and go get it professionally painted so that you can hold them accountable for every fisheye or every grain of sand or whatever gets in it. And you can bitch about it until they repaint it and it's perfect. I don't know. Maybe that's you. That's not me. I do want my cars to look good, but I'm okay with a couple of imperfections. If you're that guy just like me, here you go. Big ass chip here, right from where the door just repeatedly beat on this thing trying to open it up. And it honestly just popped off a couple of days ago. It has survived a lot better than I thought it would with my paint job. But we got some cracks right here. Got a big missing piece. We got a piece right here where it broke. So we'll just probably fill that in and move the screw hole one way or the other. But other than that though, we're actually pretty good. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's how I want you to attack this. Don't worry about this area right now. we've got a split right here, and then we've got issues all the way down to about right here. So this area right here pretty much needs to be sanded down to nothing and blended. What you want to do with an issue like this is start to sand all this down until you get rid of these cracks, and then you want to blend this area out. We'll actually probably go bigger than that, but you know you've got to get this area blended. What do I mean by that? Can you guys see that? What do I mean by that? When you take this down, this is actually pretty thick. I'll go ahead and break some of this off for you. That's pretty thick. All right, that's about the thickness of your fingernail right there. You can't just paint over it, obviously, we know that. And if you do sand it down and you start to blend it, it's got to be a big area to where you don't notice the transition. The drop off will always be there from this thickness of paint to not. It'll always be there, but it'll trick the eye to where you don't see it. So you want to make sure you pull it back. Now the type material that we have here is essentially plastic. We're going to call it plastic because I think that makes most sense to people, okay? So you can dig into this. So you have to be very careful with this, all right? So if you don't know what you're doing and you're just gouging into this stuff, then you absolutely can almost ruin this piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 180 grit, because that's what I've got handy, and we're going to start to massage this area back. So let's just see how it goes. This just proves that you can use different grits to accomplish the same thing. Well, for certain things. Here's how I want you guys to think about this. We want to stop the bleeding, right? These cracks will continue to crack. So what we need to do here is start to feather this out. So we're going to sand this down until it starts to feather out and there's no more cracks anymore. See, look at that. We're already feathering. But you do want to make sure that you get all the loose pieces off, right? And look at that. We're already getting there. We're getting there, y'all. That quick. All right. Now we're going to take it further than this. We're going to blend all this up real nice way out here like this. But that's what you got to do. I'm using 180 grit. So what we're doing now is starting to bring this line back, this hard line. We're going to bring it back here. Now, remember, we can come back in with some primer, spray over here, and then start to block it out real quick. And man, we're going to be good to go. And what you're looking for here is feathered edges. If you look right here, you can see how that's starting to feather away. It doesn't have a hard line. If you look at that, that's kind of a hard line. So you're going to be able to see that, but that is what you want to see, is where it starts to blend. So we just need to make sure that everything looks like that, and we should be good. All right, and that pretty much feels perfectly smooth. So you see how we kind of blended everything out, right? This whole area. See, just like that. You guys see how easy that is? You just can't worry about overthinking things, right? You know you need to sand that. We don't want to go too coarse, right? We don't necessarily want to go 80 grit because we could gouge it all up, but 180, probably good to go. 120, maybe, yeah. And then after that, you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do? Am I going to apply a primer over it, a sealer? I'm going to do a little light coat of primer. So primer, you can get away with 180 with primer, right? So you can dust a little bit of primer over in that area, and then you want to come back with a finer grit to get ready for your base coat. Finer grit to me is about 400 grit. 400 grit to 220. Sometimes 220 works. Works for Papa T, my dad. It doesn't work for me a lot. I like 400 grit. So then I just come back in, just sand over the top of that primer, and now I've got a good base for my base coat to stick to. And that's it, guys. That's it. It's just that simple. I can mix this up. Like, we could spray this tonight. I don't know that I'm going to, because it really needs a little primer, and I don't know if I've got any. But let me look around and see if I've got some canned primer, which I really recommend you guys buy a good 2K primer, but I understand that gets expensive. So you don't have to use it, but just know that primer is what's going to lock down into the base of that urethane piece, that plastic piece down there, right? So if that primer lets go, then that means everything attached to the primer on top, which is base coat, clear coat, is going to let go as well. I recommend a really good primer, but you can get good results with a regular can primer. Just got to get the right one. This whole car's got to be resprayed at some point. So I'm not going to sit here and sand for hours and hours and hours. And what we are going to do though is get some base on this damn thing and show you exactly how easy it is and how you don't have to worry about it. So from here though, before we go too far, I'm going to go ahead and tape off this section down here and just go ahead and not have to deal with that. Now you could go ahead and paint this whole piece while you've got it off. You could go ahead and do that, which it probably needs it, but like I said, eventually this whole car is going to get painted. This though was a major eyesore, so let's just focus on it. We'll take it about right here. So now that this is wrapped up and we can't get any overspray on this, this is the only area that we have to focus on. This is a really good time to look this thing over and see what can be tolerated and what can't. It's got some fish eyes in it, but it's down low and you can't really see this anyway. So I feel pretty good about not taking this much further than this. 3M pads, super fine is what I use. Work really, really good for scuffing up an area that you've got to spray. All right. Now, I'm not going to get into that just yet because I do need to blend this area. I don't want this area to start chipping anymore, so I do want to go ahead and blend that in. I think we're good now. Now, when it comes to spray can primer, you have to be extremely patient. And I'm often not, and it bites me in the ass. You cannot try to cover it in one shot. It just don't work that way. Okay, main thing for this, the job of this primer is to get the paint to stick. Now up top, up here, I'm just putting a very, very light coat up here. That's all I'm doing, just to make sure that it, so basically if the primer sticks, then your base coat will stick, right? All right, we're gonna let that dry up and we're gonna put a couple more coats on it, okay? So that's our first coat of primer, and it's going to look horrible right now, but it'll all dry up. We're going to shoot some base on this thing, and then we're going to untape this and bring our clear back about right here and then wet sand and buff it out. I really want to talk to you guys about not letting people get in your head. Those things are devastating. That's detrimental to your attitude, to your well-being. When you let people like that in your head space, it's horrible. But that's not the only issue that I want to talk about. I actually want to try to address the people who say these hateful things to other people because, let's just be honest, they're just losers. That's all it is. They're losers. They feel horrible about themselves, so they try to beat somebody up. And maybe, just maybe, there's one thing in their life that they might be decent at, and they see you do something that's not quite as up to par maybe as what they do. Or maybe a mistake that they had made a long time ago that maybe they no longer make now, and they want to call people out on it. But they get under your skin, they get in your head, because that's all they can do is try to manipulate you, right? Make you feel bad about yourself. When you're actually out there doing the right thing, you're doing a good job. You're busting your ass, you're getting the things done that you want to get done, you're learning new skills, but maybe you're not perfect. Well, it's perfectly fine that you're not perfect. But the assholes out there in the world love to tell you that you're not, that you suck, that you this and that. You don't suck. As long as you're trying, man, you're good. We have to be careful with giving out bad information. Now, I do agree with that. I've probably done some of that in my time, I'm sure, on this channel, but I never intend on it. So just make sure that whatever information that you're giving out, like if you're trying to help somebody or you're posting something online, make sure that it's good information. At least make sure that you're not 180 out from what it should be. And if that's the case, and you're good, and you're in line with where you need to be with the knowledge that you're preaching, and it works, then to hell with everybody else. I'm going to show you that this over here is going to work. There's a reason why I'm so aggravated tonight and why I want to show you this, because I read these hateful comments and I get them and I want to choke somebody. I'm happy with the results that I get when I do this work. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. It never is perfect. There's fish eyes, there's little spots here and there. But I'm happy with my car. And instead of going out and paying $10,000, $20,000 for a paint job, I've got $800 to $1,000 in a paint job now. And my car's on the road before everybody else that's waiting on a $10,000, $20,000 paint job, either because they don't have the money or they're waiting on the paint and body shop even after they get the money, just to get their car back. So it's up to you, right? I could care less which route you take. Just don't throw your money around at everybody else or your righteousness around and try to tell everybody else that this is the only way to do it, because it's not. It's not. With that being said, this is starting to dry up now. It's going to look like don't worry, we know. But we will get some base coat on it here in just a few minutes after I put a couple more coats on. So I'll get back to you guys here in just a minute. We've got our second coat of primer on here. So I think we're good to go for what we're trying to accomplish, which is not perfection. Got these little disposable cups. I've got the base coat in here. Just added a splash of reducer. That's it. I'll show you guys a cool trick. I mean, if you ever use these, you probably already know. But some of you don't know. They have this little bladder in there, right? Watch this thing as I spray it. See it moving? Pulling up on itself. Now watch the tip. See, just spray. Now what that does is allows you to turn upside down if you need to spray anything. So it's always kind of helpful. With it being cold, I'm going to bump the pressure up to about 40 PSI. Maybe that'll be good. So we want to get a nice light coat on it. We've already got one very light coat on it. It's kind of cold outside tonight, so we're going to make sure that we let this dry up pretty good before we put the second coat on. I'm probably going to have to mix some more paint, but I know it looks like shit right now, but that's just because it's the first coat and I mixed it kind of thin. So I'm going to go in, mix up a little bit more base coat, and probably not even reduce it this time. We're gonna let this tack up and we're gonna come in with our third. Probably gonna take 4 or 5 coats because this stuff is really thin. That's the only thing about this Nason base coat, is really thin, so it's gonna take a lot of coats, okay, to make this match up. And it might not match perfectly, but it'll be good enough. It'll be better than that big old chip that we had on it, right? It'll probably be tomorrow before I can clear coat this because I don't have any activator. This activator is completely hardened up. So I have to run tomorrow, get some activator, we'll shoot some clear on it. But we'll see what we got tonight, at least with nothing but the base coat on. All right, so it's day 2 and I had a little mishap last night. Come out here and I put a little too much base coat on too quick. So what happens when you do that? It starts to try to wrinkle up on you. So I need to work on this a little bit more. I can still feel this. But overall, I decided just to go ahead and paint the whole thing, right? So last night, remember, I had it taped off and we were gonna blend. The paint wasn't matching exactly right, so we just sanded it down real quick. Well, I ran out of paint. So I ran to my local auto parts store and I said, hey, I need some Calypso green. Completely forgot the paint code, all that with me. They looked it up for me, got it. Now, this paint is about 45 bucks. This is the Nason brand. And then I picked up some of this Fiberall or Fiber Feel, if you will, this U-Pole brand. Really, really good stuff if you need to patch holes or fix dents or anything like that. Also, picked up a can of activator for my clear coat. Now all this together, right here that you see, was about 110 bucks for all this. What we're gonna do now is prep this panel. We're gonna fill it from the back side. See where it's cracked? So what we need to do is hit this probably with some 80 grit so that it can bite into it in an area like this, and we'll go ahead and fill this hole in. Then all we'll do is just move this hole over. We're gonna take this 40 grit, that's fine, and I'm gonna rough the back side of this up in a really big area. Right. That's it. That's all we need. Just want just a touch of activator. That's actually way too much activator, but so you don't want to mix it as hot as I did. You're actually you can hurt the longevity of this stuff and the strength that if you add too much activator or hardener. But it'll be okay for what we're doing. We're basically just trying to cover this hole up. So, and you want to make sure you extend past the problem area right here, if you guys can still see. And that way it locks in nice and hard. All right. Then we're just going to take a tiny bit up top and smear it on. All right, we're going to let that cure up, and that should fill that hole in just fine. So once that dries up, we're going to go ahead, scuff this thing up real good and get us some good base coat on it. All right, it's not going to take any time. I do have to sand this area down real lightly with some 400 grit. Just kind of smooth it out. Now that's going to be on the inside of the door, so you're not really going to see that, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but obviously we're going to make it look pretty decent. Then we're going to mix this up some base coat, and we're going to dust this thing one more time and hopefully be done with it, and then shoot some clear on it. So what we're going to do now is just wrap this 320 around a foam pad, just because we're not worried about finger marks and things like that on ground effects so much. And we're going to come in here and wet sand this out real quick. Not going to take but a second. I hear people brag all the time about the fact that they can build engines, they can weld, they can do all this stuff. I hardly ever hear people brag about the fact that they can paint cars. A lot of times that's one of the most overlooked things. If you ever watch a TV show, what's the majority of the show about? It's about the hard work that goes into building the car and this and that, and then they just send it off to paint and it comes back and it's all pretty. But what about that painter and the skill set that he's got to make that happen? To me, that's extremely impressive. Now, I do all of the stuff. I build my own cars from scratch. I do my own engines. I do my own paint and body work, all of it. And one of the most underrated skills is paint and body, in my personal opinion. All you want to do is come in and just kind of smooth your edges off, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I care if this is perfect. I'm just not for this, okay? We just want to get this thing kind of smoothed out a little bit, and we're going to start shooting some base coat on it. Look, guys, I know this is rolled over into the next day. It's just because, you know, I made a mistake and things didn't work out. This very well could have been an hour job and been done with it, okay? So as you get better, as you make less mistakes, things will go quicker for you. And I want to remind you, you don't have to have a big air compressor to do this. I know a lot of people think you do. It helps, sure. If you got a big old honking ass air compressor, cool, man, awesome. But a lot of us don't, right? I don't even have that big of an air compressor. I don't even know what mine is, like 60 gallons, I think. I'm gonna show you guys how to get your paint to the consistency you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a lot of it in there just so we have some extra. All right, let me show you guys something. I like to go off of the 3 to 5 drop technique. So check this out. You stir it up, pull it up, and you start counting 1,000. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4. That's honestly about perfect for me to spray exactly like it is. So I'm not even going to worry about thinning this. Now, if it were on the side of a car, I would probably go 3.5 drops. But since we're on the bottom of this car, I'm not worried about it. So what that means is the more drops it takes, the thicker it is. And I want it a little thicker so it covers better. We're gonna let this dry up, and I'm gonna put another couple of coats on it, and then I'll show you guys the final product. I'm gonna go to the 2, which is more than enough for what we're gonna probably need. And then this is your activator. It has to be clear coat specific activator. Don't be using stuff out of other stuff unless you know it works. You can see the 2, we need to go to there with our hardener. And that's it, that's all we need. I'm not going to reduce it. This stuff's already pretty thin. Stir it up and you're good to go.
That's 1 coat down. That's a very light coat. We're going to come back in on the second coat and wet it up pretty damn good. But for right now, I think we're looking pretty good. Okay, so what we're looking for on our next coat before we can proceed is a tacky finish, like masking tape. What you don't want is it to stick to your fingers and string like it's doing right now. That means that it is nowhere near dry enough. So find the wettest spot somewhere, touch it. If it's still stringy, you can't paint yet. You gotta wait. So
done. 2 wet coats. I think that's going to be good enough, y'all. It's just ground effects, and remember, like I said so many times before, this car is going to be repainted more than likely next year anyway, so I'm not going to risk putting 3 coats on, running it, getting more trash in it, things like that. 2 wet coats, you're good to go. Now, kind of push the envelope on that second coat, so it could come back to bite me with solvent pop. And what solvent pop is essentially whenever you put down your second coat too early, the first coat has not degassed fully. So if it starts to try to degas with a wet coat on top, and then that top coat tries to skim over a little, it makes it even worse. And all that air, that trapped solvent, is going to try to escape, and it's going to cause bubbles. And listen, they're bad because they pretty much cause a pinhole all the way down to the bare item, whatever it was that you sprayed. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I think it'll be all right either way. We'll probably just run it. It'll be okay. It's ground effect. It's not all busted up anymore and broken. So you guys can do this. I've told you time and time again, I want you to go check out my Facebook and look where I posted some pictures of this. And I told people, hey, you can do this. And they're like, absolutely, I can do it. Look at what I did. I painted a car for the first time, a complete color change right before Foxtoberfest, you know. Somebody took a 67 fastback and completely redone that thing from nothing, first time. It's crazy what you can do. So stop with the excuses and don't tell me you can't, because you can. Can't, never could, and never will. This isn't perfect, and I'm not gonna sit here and brag about, oh, look how perfect this is. It's got trash in it. That's just the nature of spraying like we sprayed. But when you get it on the car, you'll never notice it. So I think it looks good. Looks good to me, at least. So we'll get that thing back on the car. Hopefully the color matches. That's going to be the biggest thing here. We don't know. But if the color matches, yeah, we're going to be good to go, y'all. I'm going to wrap this video up right here because the only thing left to do is pop it on the car. And it'll probably be tomorrow before I do that. And I want to get this video out for you guys right now to prove to you that you can do it. I swear you can do it. I swear. Let's walk back here real quick just to show you what kind of air compressor that I've got. I don't have the most expensive air compressor, and you don't even need one as nice as what I've got back here, which isn't nice. But so it's a 60 gallon, 155 max PSI. But that's it, y'all. This was about, I want to say maybe 600 bucks. I may be wrong. I mean, you don't even need a $600 compressor. To paint a car, you do really need a 60 gallon compressor, but you don't need an 80 or 100. That I can tell you. Go pick you up one of these cheap guns like I've got, this Iwata Kiwami. I've got some really nice guns over here, but I'm not even gonna bother to show you guys because you don't need them. Pick up this little kit right here from Harbor Freight. That makes everything so much easier. Pick up your little adapter. Here's the cool thing about paint and bodywork. You're gonna buy sandpaper, and you're probably gonna buy like 10 sheets, right, of wet dry paper. You might only need 2 sheets. So next time you've already got some. Same thing with fillers and with other paints and with clear coats and stuff. Now they don't last forever, so you can always go back in, grab that little half of a quart and do something like this. I mean, you're gonna feel so much better about yourself. You're back on the road when probably everybody was doubting. And they're like, oh man, old David, boy, his car was all jacked up. Did you see that last night? Did you see his ground effects? And then you go home that night, start working on it, spray that, get it back on the road. Next week you show up at the meet, you're like, damn man, who'd you take it to get it fixed? I fixed it. I fixed it. That's right. You can do this. I promise you. Research it. Look it up. Cheap little sander like this from Harbor Freight. Most all your tools can come from Harbor Freight. Even your air compressor can all come from there. I love it, man. Nothing feels better in the car world than doing your own paint and body work. Don't get me wrong, a nice built engine that you did yourself, first fire up is good, but you're also nervous. You know, you're scared to go out and beat on it because, you know, you don't want to sling it apart. But then paint and body work, it is what it is whenever you get done with it. When you get done, that's instant gratification. And we all like that, right? You look down at your car and you're like, oh boy, she's slick, she's wet. And it'll only get better from here because now all you gotta do is maybe a little bit of wet sand and buff. Ooh, we ain't gonna get into that in this video, but I can hook you up with that too. If you guys want a full list of things to buy to get started in paint and body, let me know down below and we'll do a whole video on it. And I'll drag everything out and we'll talk about the bare minimum that you need to get started doing paint and body work. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.